From Archimedes of Syracuse to Eratosthenes of Cyrene, circa 255 BC. Esteemed Eratosthenes of Cyrene, word of your philosophical endeavors has reached our shores in Syracuse, carried by scholars who speak highly of your intellect. Having recently returned from my studies in Alexandria, I find myself eager to establish correspondence with minds that pursue knowledge with the same fervor that drives my own inquiries. In recent months, I have been consumed by the study of levers and the principles that govern them. The realization that a small force, applied at the proper distance from a fulcrum, can move great weights has implications that extend beyond mere mechanics. As I often say in jest to my companions, give me a place to stand, and I shall move the earth. Perhaps this is not merely hyperbole, but a mathematical truth waiting to be properly formulated. I've also begun exploring the properties of spirals, those elegant curves that emerge from a fixed point and expand with uniform motion. Their mathematical properties reveal themselves gradually, like the unfurling of the nautilus shell. The precision with which nature employs these forms suggests an underlying mathematical order that I aim to articulate through geometric principles. I understand that you have been engaged in cataloging celestial bodies and their movements. The heavens have always captivated me as well, though my approach tends toward the mechanical rather than the observational. Have you considered constructing models to represent the movement of the planets? I find myself curious about the relationship between celestial mechanics and terrestrial principles. May I inquire about your thoughts on the measurement of curved surfaces? I have been contemplating methods to determine the areas and volumes of spheres and cylinders with greater precision than our predecessors. Perhaps this is a realm where our intellectual paths might converge. With respect and anticipation of your reply. Archimedes of Syracuse.
From Eratosthenes of Cyrene to Archimedes of Syracuse, circa 255 BCE. To the esteemed Archimedes of Syracuse, your letter arrived as I was concluding my studies in Athens, preparing to accept a position in Alexandria. The timing seems fortuitous, a connection established just as our paths are set to diverge geographically, but converge intellectually. Your work on levers fascinates me. The notion that mathematical principles govern the physical world so precisely speaks to the harmony of all knowledge. While my training has been primarily philosophical, I have increasingly found myself drawn to questions that demand mathematical solutions. Recently, I have been contemplating a method to measure the Earth itself. If the sun's rays fall differently at different latitudes, could we not use this variation to calculate the curvature of our world? I have been sketching preliminary ideas for such measurements between Alexandria and Cyrene during the summer solstice. The implications are profound, to know the size of the very ground beneath our feet. Your mention of spirals resonates with me deeply. I too have observed nature's predilection for mathematical patterns. In fact, I've begun developing a systematic approach to identify prime numbers, a sieve of sorts that eliminates multiples in sequence. There is something fundamentally satisfying about revealing the building blocks of all numbers. As for celestial bodies, I am indeed working on an armillary sphere that might represent the heavens in miniature. Your mechanical perspective would be invaluable in refining this instrument. Perhaps you might share insights on how to construct such a device with greater precision. I look forward to our continued exchange. Knowledge thrives in the light of discourse between curious minds. With admiration and intellectual fellowship, Eratosthenes of Cyrene.
From Archimedes of Syracuse to Eratosthenes of Cyrene, circa 245 BC. To Eratosthenes, chief librarian of Alexandria, congratulations on your appointment. The great library could have no finer guardian than one who so thoroughly embodies the pursuit of knowledge across disciplines. Alexandria's gain is Athens' loss, though knowledge recognizes no borders. I write to share recent developments in my work on curved surfaces. After years of investigation, I have determined that the volume of a sphere is precisely 2/3 that of its circumscribing cylinder. Furthermore, the surface area maintains this same proportion. The elegance of this relationship brings me immense satisfaction. I have instructed that this relation be inscribed upon my tomb should I predecease you, such is my attachment to this discovery. Your proposed method for measuring Earth's circumference intrigues me greatly. The application of shadow measurements across distant locations demonstrates remarkable ingenuity. Have you considered how the axial tilt of our planet might influence these calculations? I suspect there are subtleties in the seasonal variations that might refine your measurements further. I have recently begun experimenting with hydrostatics, the behavior of bodies immersed in fluids. There appears to be a principle at work regarding the displacement of water and the apparent loss of weight. King Hiero has presented me with a practical problem involving a crown of questionable composition, which has led me toward what I believe may be a fundamental principle of nature. Additionally, I'm developing a device that might revolutionize irrigation, a helical structure within a cylinder that, when rotated, elevates water against the pull of gravity. The agricultural applications could be significant, particularly in regions where water must be raised from wells or channels to feed crops on higher ground. How progresses your work on prime numbers? And might the library contain texts on Babylonian or Egyptian methods of water management? Your privileged position gives you access to the accumulated wisdom of ages, a treasure beyond measure. In anticipation of your insights, Archimedes.
From Eratosthenes of Cyrene to Archimedes of Syracuse, circa 245 BCE. Dear Archimedes, your letter arrived as I was organizing the mathematical scrolls in the library, a task that repeatedly brings your name to my attention, as scholars increasingly reference your work in their own treatises. Your reputation grows, my friend, and deservedly so. The relationship you've discovered between sphere and cylinder is truly remarkable. Such elegant proportions suggest an underlying harmony in the cosmos that we are privileged to glimpse through mathematics. I shall eagerly await further details of your proof. My measurements of Earth's circumference are progressing well. Initial calculations suggest a circumference of approximately 252,000 stades, a figure I continue to refine. You raise an excellent point about axial tilt. Indeed, I have been considering this factor in my observations. The library contains several Babylonian texts that document solstice measurements over centuries, which have proved invaluable in understanding these cyclic variations. Your mention of hydrostatics coincides with my own growing interest in physical phenomena. The question of why objects float or sink has perplexed many before us. I look forward to hearing more about your crown investigation. Might this lead to a method for determining the purity of materials without destroying them? Such a technique would be invaluable for commerce and craftsmanship alike. The water-lifting device you described sounds ingenious. The library indeed houses several Egyptian papyri detailing irrigation methods along the Nile, though none describe a mechanism akin to your helical invention. I shall have copies made and sent to Syracuse with my next correspondence. As for my work on prime numbers, I have refined my sieve method considerably. By systematically eliminating multiples beginning with 2, then 3, and so forth, one can efficiently identify all primes up to any chosen limit. I find something deeply satisfying in revealing these indivisible numerical entities. I have also begun compiling a chronology of historical events, attempting to establish a systematic timeline of human achievement. Mathematics may describe the eternal, but I find myself increasingly drawn to ordering the temporal as well. With intellectual camaraderie, Eratosthenes.
From Archimedes of Syracuse to Eratosthenes of Cyrene, circa 235 BC. My dear Eratosthenes, your calculation of Earth's circumference represents a triumph of human intellect. To think that we can measure what our ancestors considered immeasurable, the very sphere upon which we live, speaks to the power of mathematical reasoning. I have verified your methods and find your estimate of 252,000 stades remarkable in its precision. I must share with you the discovery that emerged from King Hiero's crown problem. While contemplating the matter in my bath, I observed that the water rose as I entered, proportional to my volume. This led to what I now term the principle of buoyancy. A body immersed in fluid experiences an upward force equal to the weight of the displaced fluid. This explains why objects float or sink and allows determination of material composition through measuring displacement. My excitement upon this realization was such that I ran through the streets without dressing, shouting, "Eureka!" My neighbors have grown accustomed to such eccentricities, though I suspect the story has grown in the telling. The water screw I mentioned previously has been successfully implemented in several agricultural projects. Its design allows water to be raised efficiently with minimal effort. I believe similar principles might apply to your armillary sphere's rotation mechanism. I have been developing methods for calculating areas and volumes that go beyond traditional geometry. By considering objects as composed of infinitesimal slices, one can determine their measures with great accuracy. I call this the method of exhaustion, though I continue to refine its application. On a more somber note, I must express concern about Rome's growing power. Their ambitions extend increasingly toward Sicily, and Syracuse's strategic position makes us vulnerable. While King Hiero maintains diplomatic relations, I fear conflict may be inevitable in the coming decades. Have similar concerns touched Egypt? I imagine the Ptolemaic kingdom stands more secure against Roman expansion. With respect and friendship, Archimedes.
From Eratosthenes of Cyrene to Archimedes of Syracuse, circa 235 BCE. Dearest Archimedes, your eureka moment delights me. What a marvelous discovery, and what an amusing image, the great Archimedes running naked through Syracuse. Rest assured, your principle of buoyancy will outlive any momentary embarrassment. The ability to determine material composition without destruction represents a significant advancement for both science and commerce. It continually astonishes me how many still believe the Earth to be flat, despite our calculations and observations proving otherwise. Just yesterday, a merchant visiting the library insisted that sailors would surely fall off the edge of the world if they ventured too far west. I explained your verification of my measurements and the shadow observations that confirm Earth's sphericity, yet he remained unconvinced. Future generations will surely laugh at such stubborn ignorance. Imagine believing the world flat when we have determined its exact radius as a sphere. Your method of exhaustion interests me greatly. It seems we approach similar problems from different angles. You through the consideration of infinitesimals, I through measurement and observation. Perhaps there is a unifying principle that encompasses both approaches. Regarding Rome, I understand your concerns, but I believe Egypt will remain secure for the foreseeable future. The Ptolemaic dynasty has established strong foundations, and Alexandria stands as the intellectual center of the Mediterranean world. Furthermore, Egypt's wealth and agricultural abundance make it more valuable as a trading partner than as a conquest. While Syracuse may face challenges due to its position between Roman and Carthaginian interests, Egypt shall remain a haven of stability and scholarship. I have continued refining the armillary sphere, and have begun calculating the tilt of Earth's axis with greater precision. My current estimate places it at approximately 23.5 degrees, a figure that explains the seasonal variations we observe. This work complements my geographical projects, including a comprehensive map of the known world based on measured distances rather than speculation. Your friendship and correspondence continue to be among my greatest intellectual treasures. With warmth and admiration, Eratosthenes.
From Archimedes to Eratosthenes, circa 215 BC. My dear Eratosthenes, as the years advance and the vigor of youth wanes, I find myself drawn to problems of increasing complexity, perhaps to keep the mind sharp as the body inevitably fails. I have conceived a mathematical challenge that I believe will intrigue you: the enumeration of the cattle of Helios. The problem involves determining the number of bulls and cows of different colors: white, black, yellow, and dappled, subject to specific proportional relationships. Additionally, when white bulls join black, they must form a perfect square. When yellow and dappled join, they must form a triangular number. The full formulation involves a Pell equation that yields solutions of astronomical magnitude, truly a worthy challenge for minds such as ours. Syracuse's situation grows increasingly precarious. Roman forces have established positions nearby, and despite my efforts to design defensive mechanisms, including certain mirrors that focus solar rays and mechanical claws to overturn ships, I fear our city's days of independence are numbered. Perhaps it is a mercy that old age may spare me from witnessing the fall of all I hold dear. In these contemplative moments, mathematics provides solace. The eternal truths we uncover transcend the temporal concerns of politics and war. Our discoveries will outlive both Syracuse and Rome, speaking to generations yet unborn. How fares your sight, old friend? I hear rumors that it fails, though your intellectual vision remains as clear as ever. Know that your work on Earth's measurement and your systematic approach to knowledge continue to inspire those of us who value truth above all else. With enduring respect and affection, Archimedes of Syracuse.
From Eratosthenes to Archimedes, circa 214 BCE. My dearest Archimedes, your cattle problem has consumed my waking hours. Truly, it represents the pinnacle of mathematical challenge, a problem whose solution involves numbers with hundreds of thousands of digits. Even as my physical sight dims, my mind's eye sees the beauty in such complexity. The minimal solution comprises a number so vast that writing it fully would require more papyrus than the library contains. Old age is indeed a burden, though one unevenly distributed. While you face external threats from Rome, I contend with the internal betrayal of my own senses. Blindness encroaches steadily, like night falling on Alexandria's lighthouse. Yet like that beacon, the light of reason continues to guide ships of thought safely to harbor. I have been contemplating the Pythagorean teachings on purification of the soul through ascetic practices. Perhaps there is wisdom in their belief that mathematical contemplation prepares us for transcendence. As physical appetites diminish, I find myself increasingly drawn to abstraction, the realm of pure form that Plato described. Should circumstances compel it, I would not fear following Pythagoras' example of self-starvation to cleanse myself of worldly concerns. What better way to depart than in pursuit of mathematical truths? To leave behind the imperfections of corporeal existence for the paradise of mathematical ideas, where perfect circles, true straight lines, and exact proportions exist eternally. Your defensive innovations sound remarkable. Focusing the sun's rays to create heat is particularly ingenious. It mirrors, in a way, our own efforts to focus the light of reason upon the mysteries of existence, generating the warmth of understanding. Whatever fate awaits Syracuse or Alexandria, know that our correspondence has created something imperishable. Ideas, once conceived, enter a realm beyond physical destruction. They become part of the intellectual heritage of humankind. With profound admiration and enduring friendship. Eratosthenes of Cyrene.
Epilogue. Archimedes was killed in 212 BCE during the Roman siege of Syracuse, reportedly while absorbed in mathematical diagrams. Eratosthenes, having lost his sight completely, chose to end his life through starvation around 194 BCE, seeking the purity of mathematical forms beyond physical existence. Their correspondence, preserved through copies in the Library of Alexandria, stands as testimony to one of history's great intellectual friendships, a dialogue between two polymaths whose discoveries continue to illuminate our understanding of the world more than 2 millennia later.